To always get the latest Game Tea, do not forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook at The Game Tea Podcast, and you can find us on Twitter at Game Tea Podcast X. We post memes, gaming news, retweet friends of the pod, and of course let you know when new episodes are available for your listening pleasure. Links are all available in the description of this episode, so check them out after the show, and thank you so much for listening to the Game Tea Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Game Tea Podcast. My name is JP.
I'm Peaches.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Czar.
All right, and we are... Sorry, let me... All right, so today we are doing a little bit about talking about... God, I cannot get it today. Today, we are talking a little bit more about the Game Awards that just came and passed this last week, and to help us in doing that is our good friend Travis from Rainbow Road. Travis, how you doing?
I'm a little upset because I was told that it was an award show. I am in a full-length ball gown, and there is no one here to appreciate it. I don't know why I got all gussied up. It was a waste. It was a waste.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Why would you get gussied up for an audio podcast?
Because it's about an award show.
And also, it's about going the extra mile, JP, something you would never understand.
Yeah!
Ouch!
I'm extra.
Rabble, rabble, rabble.
Damn!
I was just glad I put on pants.
See, Zach's energy is what I'm looking for right now, all right? Like,
Some of us apparently woke up and chose violence today.
Apparently all of us did. All right. So, we've got a little bit of a different way we're going to be addressing the Game Awards than we did last year. Last year, we literally went award by award and discussed a little bit more of what we thought went well, what surprised us, things like that. Today, what we are going to be doing is, one, discussing what we were doing while watching the Game Awards, because some of us have some interesting stories. Two, we're going to go over some general thoughts on the entire presentation. And then three, we're going to highlight some more of the, we'll say, interesting recipient choices and a few of the surprises that we had during the award show. So, does anybody have any questions before we get started for today? All right.
I was trying to think of a stupid question, but I couldn't think of one in time.
Cut to commercial.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Mayonnaise? No. For the millionth time, it is not.
All right.
Anyway. Alright, so let's start off with what was your watching experience of the Game Awards like. And Travis, let's start with you, because it sounds like yours is the most interesting.
So this is a little weird. You guys invited me to watch it with you, which I was so happy about. Unfortunately, I was at work at the time. I was, but I was still watching. Like, I was getting paid to watch the Game Awards, if you think about it, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I was periodically running in and out to, like, go invite cast to set and to get stuff done. And I worked until, like, 3:30 that morning, so I was bloody exhausted.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was nuts. But it was great. I had so much fun watching with you guys. I rarely get to do that with the Game Awards, so that was cool.
Peaches, what about you?
All right, so imagine this. It's a cold Colorado Thursday night, and I'm sitting in my room watching the Game Awards with you four bozos.
Bozos?
Yeah,
oh, is that it?
That was it?
I was painting a scene, like you put on a candle, you, like drew a bubble bath, and you're just like, oh, luxury.
Nope, that's it. Just that's it.
All right, Zach, what about you?
I was laying in bed and fell asleep.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like, Zach didn't really pop in much until, basically, Zach, you really came in more towards the end, didn't you? When we were at, like, maybe the last 40 minutes.
You know, whoever told you guys that being a teacher was easy, they fucking lied, all right? I'm fucking tired.
I have never heard anyone say that. Nobody thinks being a teacher is easy.
Yeah, see, they kind of got the whole saying mixed up where people say, you know, if those who can't do teach, well, those can't do anything else because, my God, teaching is taking so much out of you. You can't do anything else.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's why I hang out with you guys.
And finally, finally, Czar, what about you?
Well, JP, we kind of shared a similar experience. I don't think really
Well, yeah,
any of
because
us.
I was at your fucking house.
Yeah. I don't think really any of us quite fathomed that the Game Awards was on Thursday until like noonish or so when Peaches texts all of us and is like, hey, Game Awards tonight, don't forget it. And then we all kind of scrambled for a last minute plan,
Yeah.
but it was great how it came together and we were all just hanging out watching it.
I genuinely, like every other year, Czar and I have watched the Game Awards together for the last few years in a row, but
3 or
just
4
watching
we
it with you
counted.
four, is it 4?
Yeah, somewhere in that avenue.
You guys are fucking old.
Wow. Yeah, no, stop it. We're not going down that road again. I want to feel good about myself today.
And so you got on a podcast.
No, but
with
watching
us?
it. Yeah, good point. yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's on me. That's on
Travis
me.
out
but-
here making points.
No, watching it with you four was a tremendous amount of fun. Just everybody's commentary and the setting. I was having a bitchin' time. Czar and I had pizza. I don't know what the rest of you scrubs
I
were
was in
doing.
bed.
just
Pizza in bed.
just to
nice.
reiterate, it was around bedtime.
Maybe for you people, Travis was up for another like 5 hours after the awards ended.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
you're right.
The
Hi,
realization.
math. The realization.
I think at the time,
There's something.
I was gonna say, I think at the time I was
Oh, I'm
eating
sorry.
like these really nice gourmet burgers they bought us because it was the last day of shooting and they wanted to be nice. So it wasn't pizza, but it was still nice.
Gourmet, dude, I'm all about gourmet burgers. You tell like, oh my god, that sounds amazing. Actually,
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That's Game Award food.
Yeah.
it's always interesting to talk about what you were doing during the Game Awards because I don't know. To me, it's like it really is special. Like it's the gamers' day of the year. It's like our own Oscars, except nobody gives nearly as much of a shit, right? But it's
Especially this
still-
year.
Oh, yes, precisely. Because, like, as we've kind of discussed plenty of times, it wasn't the most fantastic year for gaming, honestly. Travis, did you kind of feel the same way? Like, the four of us have discussed how we kind of felt like it was a little bit lacking this year in some of the things that were released.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately the nature of the pandemic. Like, we've been in it for a while now, and all the games that would have been releasing this year are really what's getting affected by it. It's just kind of unfortunate timing. As everyone's been having to shift to working from home, figuring out a new way to work, figuring out supply chain issues for getting consoles out. Like, it's such an unfortunate time. And I am just gonna preface this for the entire podcast that I am the worst person to bring on for this because I had so little time to play games this year. It's part of why we've been on hiatus for so long. So I'm looking at the long list of games. I'm like, yeah, didn't play that, didn't play that, didn't play that. Nope, I haven't even heard of that one.
What is this game?
Yeah, exactly.
Am I even a gamer
I
anymore?
don't know.
Oh, that's scary to think about.
This is
All right. I think Travis's tears are a great segue into the next question.
why is sadness always our segue?
Every time. So, general thoughts on the presentation. When I say general thoughts on the presentation, I mean, like, not necessarily talking about the games, like, who won and, like, the surprises just yet. More like the pageantry of the Game Awards, some of the guests, some of the musical guests that they brought on. I wanted to get some general thoughts about that. So, once again, Travis, let's start with you. What do you think of the presentation?
I mean, it was very polished. It was nice to see some people coming in, like seeing Deborah Wilson, for instance, was very cool because she's a voice actress for a bunch of games, and getting celebrities who are a little more involved in the gaming sphere is a little nicer. Like I think we remember all the
Right.
Spike TV days when they had the Game Awards, and it was just random celebrities who clearly knew nothing about what they were talking about. And I mean, we still
Oh,
got
yeah, totally.
we still got that one NBA star who I do not remember the name of, who called it Genshin Impact, and I'm like, you guys couldn't have even coached him on like the pronunciation of the game he's talking about. Like, yeesh.
That's so funny you mentioned that because I thought the exact same thing. I remember that and I'm like, oof.
Oh, you did, Mr. Tensai? You did remember that? Okay.
Ha.
All right. Interesting.
Oh, you know what else is interesting? It looks like Zach just got kicked out of the chat for some reason. I'm just...
Oh,
I'm sorry, Zach, but if it makes you feel better, the whole Genshin Impact thing, I knew that probably made your blood curdle more than anybody.
Here's the good thing. I missed that part. See, what I learned with the Game Awards is, and I'm sure Travis will get to this point, but you don't need to show up until the last 30 minutes.
that's fair. You did prove that one.
That's,
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for the poor saps who sat through the pre-show. Can you
I had a good
imagine?
time watching the pre-show.
God.
That was when the pizza was still hot.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's
That's
funny.
the best part of the experience.
Peaches. Oh, dude, that's like at least we got the Little
pizza.
Caesars pizza. Do you know how shitty things have to be for Little Caesars to be the highlight of the moment? Peaches, let's go on to you. General thoughts on the presentation.
What? Like, it was bad. Like, why were they speed running Game Awards?
Yeah, that's like, I considered that like a separate topic, but oh my god, you're right. Like, it's so insulting just to, like, they didn't even actually list the nominees. They just had an image on the side. Here's the winner, moving on. I was like, I can't believe that.
Yeah, like 5 awards in a row, just get through them to go see more ads.
Dude, the amount of time it took to announce the awards was less time than one ad took.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the awards were the ads.
I like how you do keep referring to the trailers as the ads. Like, you started even doing that while we were watching the presentation, and you were totally right. I don't know. It's not that I'm not excited for new game announcements, because I'm always excited about new game announcements. It's just that, like, this is supposed to be about the best game of the, like, the best games of the year, and celebrating this year in gaming. And we didn't do that because they were too busy putting in these quote-unquote ads for what's to come. And it's not just like, it doesn't just diminish the experience for the watcher, it's also pretty insulting to those who are there to, like, who are up for an award, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I mean, think about how much fun it could have been to have people come up, give their speeches, and then play different music to get them off the stage. Like, you could have had that, like, Sonic underwater running out of air timer. You could have had, like, you could have had any number of game over
That's a
themes.
great
Like,
idea.
there's so many ways you could have had fun with this.
They absolutely could have had fun with this, but they decided to do none of that and fucking shovel in ads hand over fist as much as they could.
Mm-hmm.
It is a business. They
yeah.
gotta get their money.
I mean, the
Absolutely,
Oscars
but-
also have to make some money, but they actually at least let some pageantry be allowed into the show when they give out awards. And, like, I don't know, I wouldn't mind seeing some more of that enter the Game Awards.
Not discrediting you, but the Oscars has had like a century to get this shit right.
You're not wrong. And here's where I'm gonna get political, I'm sorry. But one of the reasons that the Oscars is able to organize itself in that way is because it is done by unions. It is done by the Screen Actors Guild and the Academy and things like that. They have tons of sponsors. It's an incredibly expensive endeavor, but it is a workers' association that makes all of this possible. It creates a voting system. It allows the budget to have this going year round, to send out screeners to people so they have a chance to view the awards, things like that. And there's tons of problems with the Oscars. I'm not trying to hold it up as this great example.
Right.
But collective workers associations would make this a lot easier. And game developers should unionize. You should all unionize.
I don't know if you've been listening, but I have been bothering these guys like every week that Blizzard comes up about unionization.
And now it's happening. Aha!
Well,
Yes.
in theory,
Seems like every week more and more we talk about the unionization of game developers. So, I mean, that makes it sound like maybe that should be a thing.
Yep.
I love the direction this conversation took. I think this is all
Well, and that
interesting.
also relates to the very beginning of the showcase in general.
Yep.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, Czar. So while,
Segue.
first of all, yeah, good segue. So give us your general thoughts on the presentation, but before you do that, actually, Czar, also tell us about what you're referring to just now.
I was gonna say I missed that part.
Yeah, this is one of the things that Zach missed.
It was shady, but it was good shady.
So, at the beginning of the showcase, Jeff Keighley came out and was saying, before we get into all the fun and all the really good gaming and such, there is a heavier note they wanted to hit on, and that was the fair treatment of every individual and getting rid of this discrimination and all of these horrible notions that are surrounding the video game industry. And
Right.
there was no targeting. I think a lot of people knew who one of the biggest people being talked about in this little spiel were. But what was really cool was Jeff was just like, as gamers, we will not stand by and condone mistreatment of others, individuals, online, in person, or anything else. And it was just a big motivation for all gamers to come together and just love this industry.
I have the exact quote
Just
here.
be nice to each other.
I think it'd be powerful to just literally put it right in the podcast. I mean, literally take a clip. There would be no problem with doing that.
I mean, there might be copyright claim issues, but the exact quote is, "Game creators need to be supported by the companies that employ them. I think we all agree with that. We should not and will not tolerate any abuse, harassment, or predatory practice by anyone, including our online communities." Now, to me, that seems extremely vague.
Yeah.
And I think it would benefit from being more targeted, because like the way he worded it specifically sounds like, you know, oh, I'm not just condemning companies, I'm also condemning our online communities, and so it feels like
Which does need some work too.
businesses get like a kind of free pass a little bit from that. Like it's
vague if you. It's more vague if you're not like 100% on board with the context, right? Because we covered the fact that Jeff tweeted out that Blizzard Activision will not be participating in the Game Awards this year, right?
Yeah, and I think that's why it was a lot fresher in our minds.
Exactly. Not everybody had that same idea, but like people who are even somewhat involved with gaming at all probably know it's way too topical to be a coincidence, so...
Absolutely.
I don't know, like
I
I felt like it was pretty obvious it was about Blizzard.
I have mixed feelings on it. I'm glad he did say something, because it didn't even seem like he was going to do that much a week ago. So I am glad that something was said. I do think it was very vague, and I really wish that it had been targeted at Activision. Now, the only leeway that I'm really sort of willing to give on that is the fact that it's not just Activision Blizzard. They're currently the worst, but there is Ubisoft, there's Riot, there's Epic, there's Quantic Dream. Like, if he had to do one of them, it kind of would have been actually a little bit disrespectful to then ignore all the abuses happening at these other companies. And we basically would have had to go down the entire line until we get to Supergiant, because they're the only ones left who are great. But yeah, like...
You're still on that Hades train. You can't fool me.
Okay, I love Hades, but also they did everything without crunch, which is just kind of great, and it makes me very happy.
True. Yes.
So I understand how difficult it is at that point to basically, like, if you're going to list one, then you got to list them all, and then what if you miss someone? And I see where it's difficult. I just wish there'd been a little more... I wish it'd been a little more pointed, I guess. I don't know.
I guess my biggest problem with it is that the whole statement feels toothless, you know?
It does. That's the problem.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes it even worse because there was a really big undertone of like supporting game developers and all that. And then they just speed through all the awards. Like, we don't even get to hear from any game developers that they're, really trying to boost and bolster for this awards. It seemed really weird and off key.
Yeah, you put those two together and it's not good. You're right. And then there's also just like the fact that we're still nominating these companies for awards, and we're still going to show off a huge trailer from Quantic Dream. Like, I am a massive Star Wars fan. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. And I would have been so excited for Eclipse. Like, you guys heard me as I was watching the thing. I was like, ooh, what era are we set in? Like, where is this set? I was so excited as I was listening to it. And then I saw Quantic Dream come up, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
they're super abusive.
I had the exact same range of emotions for that trailer.
And, like, David Cage has been on record saying all of the women in my games are whores. And he said, I don't make games for fags. And, like,
wow.
Holy shit,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a shitty guy. He's a real shitty guy.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, and like, man, that sucks to see you guys put that trailer up immediately after saying we won't tolerate abuse in the industry. And like, I can't fault the Game Awards for it. At the same time, like, it kind of hits kind of tone deaf and you're not really doing much. So, I don't know.
It's absolutely
You would think,
true.
like, as a business,
It really is.
you would want to be as, like, inclusive as fucking possible to make as much money as fucking possible. Like, why do you got to be so prejudiced just to be a dick? Like, it just doesn't even make sense with the idea of consumerism and trying to make money. So it's just like, not only are you like clearly a hater and like a bigot and a piece of shit, but like you're also an idiot when it comes to like business practices.
Like, that just feels like the number one rule of making money in any business is don't exclude people. Otherwise, you're missing out on a huge chunk of profit.
Like, my high school teacher, even though she wasn't that great, she at least told me that one. Like, she's like, you probably should, she obviously couldn't say it because, you know, district policies and whatever, but like she was even like, you want to like make as much money as possible. You want to include as many people as possible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. And especially, like, thank God we finally have, like, this really big rally between LGBTQ issues. Like, it really is. It's just tone deaf, and it really is. There's a lot going on here.
Yes, and then we get back to, like, I don't know, like, am I gonna play Eclipse? I don't know, like, I do love Star Wars and I love narrative-driven games. I don't know that I want to support them, and like Detroit Become Human was a bit of a mess, anyways. So like, and am I gonna play Hogwarts Legacy when it comes out? I don't think so. Like I don't know. Like
that's how they get you. That's how they, because I'm so unbelievably excited for the products, but it's like knowing what goes into them. It's like it really sucks.
It does.
It makes it really hard.
There's no ethical consumption under capitalism is kind of where we're at.
Absolutely. Like and that's why like I'm not gonna fault other people for playing these games. It's just it's my own experience of like I don't know what I want anymore.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So Czar, thank you so much for bringing up some of what Jeff Keighley had said at the beginning, but you still have to give us just how did you think about the presentation? What were some of your thoughts on the pageantry?
It was really weird because it felt like it went on forever, but it also felt like it ended without any significant substance. And I was just left confused and exhausted at the end of it. Like, that was a lot of hype, and I don't even know what happened the last 3 hours.
That is so unbelievably true. Like, there was no... Besides, like, this, they always do, like, the symphony that kind of does, like, that Maj Podge of different pieces from games. Like, that's usually the indicator that they're about to do Game of the Year. But other than that, like, it was lacking. Like, there was no, and now, Game of the Year, the moment you've all been waiting for. Like, nothing like that. They just started playing music. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing this. And then it was over.
Yeah. I remember in years past, they would bring up the orchestra like every 5 minutes and we'd get to listen to some epic orchestral music from a game.
Oh, so good.
But they only brought the orchestra out like 3 or 4 times throughout this entirety of 3 hours.
Yeah.
So that's why I said they're still kind of definitely finding their footing with this whole process. I'm not to say if it's right or wrong.
I mean,
and that's fair.
And that's also kind of a matter of personal taste too, you know? Like, I'm mesmerized during those instances where the symphony comes on and they have like these special guest singers. I love those parts, right? But I also have to understand that maybe not as many people as me like give that much of a shit about that. So it really is kind of about finding that balance, right?
It isn't even necessarily about needing to celebrate the music, although I also love the music, would love to see more of it. It's about creating peaks and valleys in the show. It's about giving moments of rest for your brain.
True.
And when every trailer isn't even about showcasing the art, it's about building hype. And when you do that for 3 hours straight and you keep trying to up the stakes every moment, like, it's exhausting. It's a blur. You can't remember any of it. And like nothing settles, you know? Like, that's the thing about, again, I'm not trying to hype the Oscars as something amazing, but just really any other award show. You have this moment where you bring someone out, they do like a minute or two monologue or skit, they present the nominees, we see little clips from each one, they announce the award, the person comes up, they read a speech. Like, not only is it a formula that we're used to and we're not seeing here, but also, like, it's a formula for a reason. It works. It creates a flow that you can fall into. And it's just not there. Like, it's just this constant at 100 level hype that, like, it just becomes exhausting after 3 hours.
I totally 100% agree with that. And finally, Zach, what are some of your thoughts on just the presentation?
I think we covered it. I would just kind of echo what you guys have been saying. I think you can skip the first 2.5 hours of it and just go last 30 minutes and you'll be pretty good.
And then Zach's like, I don't know what you guys are bitching about. The one I watched was great.
Yeah, it was a great 45 minutes of hype.
I kind of wish I saw the opening. Maybe watch the opening, then play a video game or two, and then come back, you know, at 2.5 hours later and see the ending, and you'll pretty much have the gist of it. Travis is right. They haven't found their flow. And so it's a weird presentation still. Like, they're definitely still finding their footing. The good thing is they have tons of fucking money, so they'll figure it out, I'm sure. Especially with all these ads they keep getting. It's a very highly watched event. So
we'll be here next year in the exact same spot too. Ready?
Right.
Like, just a bitch again. That's our job.
Hell yeah.
one more thing that I wanted to cover was some of the musical choices where, like, you guys really all hit it home with talking about, like, here's what was great, here's what was bad, but we haven't done a lot to talk about the music, or at least we didn't get into it as much as I did. First of all, why the fuck was Sting there?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Like, why Sting? Like, and that's an old artist. Like, do you guys even know who... We're relatively young. Do you know who Sting is?
Huh?
He was making music that our parents were having sex to in, like, the 80s.
Oh, you had to go there.
Yes, I
Didn't we
did.
already talk about this? He was, well, not in the podcast. We talked about it at the show, or during the show. He just did the song from Arcane.
Yeah, the
Oh,
League of
that's
Legends
right.
Netflix show.
Yeah.
Even then, like, why... Getting Sting to do that, even. Now, to be fair, the man killed it. I just wish I knew what he was fucking saying.
But it also just speaks to this real, like, insecurity about the industry of how much we want to be like other mediums, but also we're not going to learn from other mediums while we're doing this. And that, like, Arcane comes from League of Legends, sure, but Arcane is not a video game. It is another medium. And to bring out a song
Fair.
that was not written for a video game, like, there are so many wonderful, incredible composers in the video game world between, like, you could have had Yoko Shimomura, you could have had...
Grant Kirkhope.
Yeah, like, Grant Kirkhope, oh my god, how great would it have been to see Grant Kirkhope?
Oh, I would have died.
Right, like,
Oh, it would have been hype.
it just feels like we need to show what an established medium we are by aping stuff from other media. I don't know, like, it doesn't make sense to me.
You make an absolutely phenomenal point there, because the video game industry has so much substance between cinematics, gameplay, music, and everything else that you could possibly think of. They are a standalone. They don't need to lean on other mediums, like you said.
It feels very insecure
Yeah.
to same thing of bringing these celebrities in that don't know anything about games. Like, it just feels like we need to try to, this brings legitimacy to it. And it's like, the more you do that, like, the less legitimate it seems.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Travis, I love having you on for this type of stuff because you were pointing, like, with what you've done in your industry, you're able to point out all these things that commoners like the four of us blokes just,
Us
like,
peasants.
kind of, yeah, the peasants, yeah. Because Travis, he's absolutely right. He really is. One other thing that I personally have a problem with is sometimes I feel like they would waste a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I mean by that. Jacksepticeye was there.
Yep.
One of the biggest names in YouTube gaming, right? Huge megastar in the gaming community. And they had him there for like 3 seconds to announce a recipient of an award, and then he fucked off. He didn't, like, that's a waste of a good, like, you know, if there's anybody that can, like, maybe, like, give a speech about getting people more excited about the future of gaming or, like, talk about how great of a year it was been, Jacksepticeye would have been a great option for doing that, because everyone knows and loves Jacksepticeye. And he's just one example. They have tons of really great, talented people in the industry up there, but sometimes they were just pushed to the side, again, to continue to advertise games for the future, which isn't really what this award show is supposed to be about.
Yep.
I mean, there's just...
it's more of a, it feels like the Game Awards should be more on a look back of what the gaming industry did this previous year, and not looking at what the gaming industry is going to do next year, because that's why we have E3, that's why we have Summer Game Fest, that's why we have like 14 other gaming showcases.
I mean, it can be both, but I just think, like, there's so much talent in, like, entertainment and gaming, you know? Like, you have, like, Ovalie May, Alana Pierce, you have Jacksepticeye, you have, like, you know, Moist Critical, Video Game Donkey. You have a lot of, like, talented entertainers in the video game sphere, and they just don't seem to want to use them to make, like, a good award show. They want to use this to just shoehorn as many ads as they possibly can into the amount of time that they have.
Well, let me ask you guys this. What do you think happened? Like, what do you think the mindset was for them to conduct the awards ceremony like this? I mean, was it rushed? Did they just get flooded with all of these game announcements that they had to stuff in there? Or do you think that they thought this is what the gamers wanted?
They wanted to make as much money as possible. I mean, they're getting paid to show these ads. Like,
Well, yeah, but I feel like, I mean, as it is to make money, but I do feel like the Game Awards is a little bit beyond that, and there is some sort of targeting audience-wise.
I don't think they're beyond that at all. I think that they they were offered a lot of money to show all of these ads, and so they did.
I hate to go with this. I hate to go with the cynical mindset on this, but that Peaches is 100% right, in my opinion. I mean, that's not to say that like
the magic
Game
is
Awards
gone from the world.
Yeah, look, I know, buddy. I know it's hard to hear. I really do. But if it makes you feel better, that's not to say that they don't care about making a good presentation, right? That kind of like inspires gamers and makes them reflect and kind of get those feel-good feelings. It's just that they care about making money slightly more.
I mean, this is all very true. I agree with all of it, 100%. But I want to jump back to something Zara had said, because it's really sitting with me, about looking forward as opposed to looking back. And I feel like it says so much about everyone involved with the medium, between players, audiences, developers, critics, everyone, in that it's so ephemeral, this industry and like this art form and this medium, because you're right, it is all about looking forward. Like, we have an award at this show called Most Anticipated Game.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that for literally any other medium? Like the Emmys, the Oscars, the Grammys, like literally any other award show trying to give out an award for something that hasn't come out yet. Like, one of the nominees doesn't even have a title yet, and we're handing out an award.
Right.
Like, it's
the sequel to Breath of the Wild.
like it's
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Look, I love Zelda. It's my favorite, but come on.
and it just speaks to like
What'd you call that, Travis? The best, who had the best marketing that year?
I think that's what I had said during the show. Who best marketing team? Which, like, sure, make an award for that, but that's not what this is, right? And I don't know. Like, it really speaks to how we view this, because like our community is so terrible at games preservation. Like, before we even started the podcast, we were just talking about the N64 Online and how terrible it is at emulating the games, and how like fans have done such a better job of maintaining emulators for these games. And like, as an industry, we are so focused on whatever's coming next. Like, we don't appreciate what we've done over the past year, over the past 10 years. We're not good at games preservation. Like, we are not good at remembering the best of our medium. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird.
That's even more of a reason, though, to make it so that these awards are more about the reflection rather than, like, going forward. I mean, not to say, like, most anticipated game, I think it's cool to think about, but I don't think that should be what the entirety of the award ceremony is. Because as Zar said, we've got dozens upon dozens of presentations over the year to tell us what's coming. And this is the opportunity to say, okay, let's take a fucking step back, because the gaming industry is going on all cylinders right now, and talk about what happened. Because, like, I don't know, even though some games end up being a flavor of the month game, like, it was still a fantastic game that hundreds of people put their blood, sweat, and tears into, and it deserves to just have a minute where people reflect on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that would totally be helped by, hearing from the developers what awards are given.
Yep. Yeah, listen to them talk about their
I
art.
think, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, let them have a moment in the limelight, because they were, these developers worked hard. I just would like to point out at this point, we are 36 minutes into this, and we have only we've mentioned one game award.
Oh yeah, so we might as well shove 15 in the next 30 seconds, and then we'll
So
start.
let me just speed run these real quick.
I was trying to segue into the last part.
I mean, this can definitely be is this our segment? This could just be our segment.
All right. The last thing we are going to do today is highlight some of the more interesting recipients, some of the choices, some of the surprises, some of the things that each of us personally found amazing, crazy, weird, bizarre, whatever is on our mind about the game.
So you don't want me to just read these awards off as fast as possible?
They should hire you to do the Game Awards next year. I think you...
Before we can get into any awards, we need to hype one thing up if you're talking about hype and what we were all excited about, and that is Flute Guy.
Flute Guy.
Flute Man!
Can we talk about Flute Guy for a second?
He was the hero of the show.
He
was just
that
vibing.
Was amazing.
He was just vibing. He was great.
I don't even know what the song was referenced to.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because then we saw Aloy in the background running around, and it looked beautiful.
I'm gonna post it to our Twitter, but like, go find a video of them performing this song and watch the man in the front playing the flute, because I have never seen, as Peach has said, no one has ever loved anything as much as this guy loves playing the flute.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's start with, we'll do Travis again. So just give us a few of your general thoughts over some of the awards. Some things that excited you, that surprised you. What are some thoughts?
Well, the first one that jumps out at me is Best Family Game. Because it's kind of like finding out that Disney Pixar didn't win the animation award. Like,
oh yeah,
like Nintendo was 4 of the 5 games on that list, and they still didn't win, which is really funny.
my
to me.
God.
absolutely.
And I mean,
That was hilarious.
Like, I think this is a lot that it took home Game of the Year, it took home Best Multiplayer, it took home, it was Best Family Game, right? The It Takes Two.
Yeah, It Takes Two is the best family game.
Like, it took home so many awards, and I just love, because I have seen so many bigwigs at companies say things like, oh, co-op gaming is dead, couch co-op is dead, no one cares about it. And just watching it sweep the awards, and I'm like, thank you, yes, I want more of this, please. Like, you don't understand market trends. Like, I like being able to sit on a couch and play these games with someone. And to see,
couch co-op is the best.
like,
It is.
we both have podcasts because we like sharing the experience of gaming with someone else. You know, let's make games that reflect that. I think that's great, and
Right.
something that had a great story and uses its mechanics to tell that story, but having to work together with someone that you can get very frustrated with. Like, I was really happy to see that It Takes Two did so well. It was really refreshing, and it was nice to see it get some recognition. Yeah.
I totally agree.
So I don't know if we want to
totally
talk
agree.
about this here, but since Travis mentioned It Takes Two, how weird is it that they won so many awards, but that's not the name of the game anymore?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was making fun of Breath
And, like,
of the
they
Wild
didn't
for not
even-
having a name, but this game really doesn't have a name right now.
Yeah.
They straight up abandoned that trademark as soon as the lawsuit came in.
Oh my god.
And they didn't even have like name pending or anything, or any sort of notion that it was not going to be the name forever. It was just It Takes Two. Hard and fast.
As it should be, because fuck those other guys with this whole lawsuit thing first. But also, like, the guy, I don't remember the guy's name who accepted the awards that It Takes
Joseph
Two.
Fares.
Yeah. He was so unbelievably excited every time he went up on that stage, especially when it won Game of the Year.
Well, like, just think about the vindication on his end, because he's the same guy
Exactly.
that, you know, did A Way Out, which he was hyping up at E3 and the Game Awards, like, way back when. And, you know, then it comes out and people are like, oh, wow, this game kind of sucks. But then to come back with It Takes Two and, like, to, you know, be rewarded for, you know, putting in your hard work and, like, seeing it pay off with It Takes Two. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, congratulations to him and everybody at Hazelight.
Especially with the lawsuit, like, it might have been that, like, he felt like, oh no, like, this opportunity is, like, people are trying to take an opportunity away from me again, right? And then it didn't. Like, that's why I was rooting for this game so much. And, you know, I'm not necessarily ever disappointed or excited with Game of the Year. You know, more than anything, I find it interesting. But this was the one time where I was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't think It Takes Two was going to win Game of the Year, to be honest with you. I know it was going to win other stuff, but
Yeah,
not
I
Game
didn't
of the
expect
Year.
that either.
Peaches,
Well,
are you
especially
okay?
with what else was on the list there.
Precisely. Like, It Takes Two is going up against a bunch of different juggernauts, right? Like, it seemed like the odd man out when it was against, like, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, even Metroid Dread and Psychonauts 2, and Deathloop. Like,
Yeah.
no one would have ever thought that It Takes Two was going to win in that bunch. That's wild. It's like, it's an underdog story is what it is. Like, to be honest, it's crazy.
Brief tangent. I saw a meme article either from like The Verge or like The Onion even, and it was game creator known for swearing swears while receiving award at Game Awards.
Yeah.
Because like as he's walking up to the stage, you can just see him going, "Fuck yeah, shit yeah."
Well, he also said "fuck the Oscars," which is really funny to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, God damn, this guy.
Yeah.
It was great to watch though. It was very touching.
And
All right, Peaches. Oh, I'm sorry, Travis. What?
I am gonna hammer home this point just a little bit more, but like as he had said about it being vindication after making A Way Out. I also like that, again, you know, I'm sure there was a lot of pressure from EA to say that we're not doing co-op anymore. Don't do co-op after A Way Out, you know, tanked. It did terribly.
Right.
And he just refined the idea. It was still this idea of couch co-op, 2 players working together, and he made it great. And I love that he probably took a lot of shit from EA telling him, like, this will not sell, do not do it. And to still say that, you know, like, you don't need to look at it as a marketing trend, but rather as a good piece of art, you know, and something that you can refine and make better. And it just makes me happy. It makes me very happy.
Yeah. That's what dude, it's a feel good, like, I don't know, like, even though it was, in my opinion, a weaker year for gaming in general, like, this Game Awards is memorable because of It Takes Two.
Yeah,
in my
absolutely.
opinion. Like, the entire story. Peaches, let's move on to you. What were some of your bigger surprises and things you were excited about with the awards?
All right, so let's get on to the real biggest award of the night. The best, best esports event, obviously going to the 2020 League of Legends World Championship, 2021 League of Legends World Championship.
Why are you such a sadist?
Didn't they give that out during the pre-show?
Yeah.
They did kind of shoehorn that in there. Like, even though I don't care about esports, I still recognize that is somebody's moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you treated it like it's irrelevant. I don't know. That's just my
They
opinion.
Kanye'd him.
They Kanye'd him. Oh, man.
Obviously,
okay, so
yeah, you
what
know,
else, Peaches?
another big moment of the night was best esports coach going to Koma, the former coach of SKTT1, who's now the coach of Damwon Gaming Kia. You know, I think we were all really excited about that one.
Indeed, yes, quite.
Yes, all of us, everyone here.
No, to be honest, I think biggest surprise of the night, or I guess the most excited I was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy winning Best Narrative. I was pretty happy about that.
That was surprising.
Yeah, you were pretty hyped about that.
Right.
If you played it, you weren't surprised at all. But from the outside looking into it, it is surprising.
Well, especially...
And it's not... Oh, I'm sorry, Travis.
No, especially because it got off to such a rough start. Because, first off, I mean, all licensed games, there's immediately a bit of a side-eye of like, okay, this is a cash-in. Especially with Marvel, and like after Avengers did so terribly. Now, I realize it was made by a different company, but like a lot of people aren't paying attention to that.
Right.
But then on top of that, like at E3, it was this overly long demo that really wasn't showcasing the game's best features. That just kept going, and a lot of people soured on it real quick. So it didn't really get a great start. So to see it coming back and winning Best Narrative is like, it's cool.
Absolutely, yeah. And then also, I mean, another exciting moment was Maggie Robertson winning Best Performance as Lady Dimitrescu for Resident Evil Village.
Oh, yeah, that was really good.
I think that was the most deserving person on that list, and I'm really glad that she actually ended up getting it.
And it's not just because of the talent, which obviously she's really talented, right? And it's because, like, not a lot of people know this, but she has this really feel-good, awesome story about finding her role as Lady Dimitrescu, right? So, like, she made all these references during her speech of, like, thank you for taking a chance on me. That's kind of what she's referring to, right, Peaches?
So, I mean, it's just nice to, you know, see the little guy win once in a while.
Well, no, she's a very big guy. She's a very big guy. That's kind of the whole point. She's very tall.
Someone I would want me to crush with her thighs, perhaps.
She had 10 foot vampire mommy, yeah.
Yeah,
You both will die by the thigh.
Die by the thigh. We're all about it here.
Those are the big ones for me.
Awesome. Czar, what about you?
Well, I was really disappointed that Psychonauts 2 won literally nothing all night.
I know!
Didn't take home a single award, neither did Ratchet and Clank, which I really thought that Ratchet and Clank would probably be, well, maybe not Game of the Year because of how short it was, but I'm just a little upset that neither game won anything.
I totally agree. Psychonauts 2, now, what did win these awards? It's not necessarily that I don't think whoever won wasn't deserving, but, like, in your opinion, let's say Psychonauts 2 won something. What do you think Psychonauts 2 should have gotten there, Czar?
Art direction would have been a good one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm an Arcane stan. I love everything that they do. But, like, there's a thing about Deathloop that is really more beautifully stylized than anything I've seen from Psychonauts. Like, I would totally give it for art direction on that one.
Interesting.
And we can all, I mean, like, I'm with you on that one, like both of you, but like, it is subjective at the end of the day. Like, I wonder
Oh, it
how
totally
these awards
is.
are handed out, but I do think it just feels goofy when like It Takes Two wins 3 awards, and then like you said, not a single Nintendo game won, and then like Psychonauts 2 didn't win a single award, Ratchet & Clank didn't win a single award. I just
And
think
like all of those games are deserving of significant praise.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Right. No, and that's totally just the thing. Like I said, there's no wrong answer here. But, like, when you look back on it, in hindsight, it's so weird to think that Psychonauts 2 didn't win a single award. And that Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart didn't win a single award. In the narrow categories, like, it makes sense, because you're like, oh yeah, this game was amazing. But, like, in the short, like, after it, you're just like, oh my god, they didn't win a single thing? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, those were some of the most anticipated games of this year.
You're right. You're totally right.
I mean,
Okay.
They launched
and
without
then what about-
bugs,
I'm-
and like we're not broken.
I'm a bad judge
Yeah,
because
no
I'm
kidding.
still mad that Amy Adams didn't win for Arrival. So like this, if I'm gonna be mad about that years later, I'm gonna be mad about some of these things for years to come. So.
Yeah, okay. And then, you know what? Ratchet & Clank was kind of in that same category, like, what the fuck, I can't believe they didn't win a single thing. You know what I think Ratchet & Clank should have 100% got was audio design. Especially over fucking Forza, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Like, I get the car noises are cool and hyper realistic and everything, but it's car noises.
Look, I get it. It's Peach's favorite game. But, Peaches, Forza can't win everything, okay?
I mean, I think everything it was nominated for, it won.
So in fact, yes, it can win everything.
So, in conclusion, go fuck yourself.
Forza was the real winner today.
And before we get on to some of my thoughts on it, Zach, what about you? Some of the surprises, some of the things that you loved.
So I played It Takes Two and totally resonated with it because I played that with Krista, and it was just such a wonderful moment and amazing to do. Yeah, thought that was great. Still pretty salty about it winning Best Family Game. Come on, man. Come on. Mario Party? Really? Come on. But that was a remake.
Mario,
what were the other
dude,
three
Mario
options?
Party's fun.
What else could I have picked?
WarioWare, Get It
That
Together.
should not win.
New Pokemon Snap.
Yes.
Or no, that
Yep,
wasn't
it
fair.
was on there.
Was
I'm
that
staring
right?
at it right now.
Okay,
Okay.
new Pokemon Snap
Yeah.
definitely should have won that, just so that
Yeah.
Game Freak can throw out Pokemon to people, so someone else can make and put effort into your games. That'd be pretty sweet. What else?
And I genuinely thought they were deserving. New Pokemon Snap was really good. Right, Travis? I know Travis had a lot of fucking fun with it.
So I need to set a scene for you guys right now. I'm in my new apartment. I'm sitting on my couch right now doing this podcast, and what I'm staring at right in front of me is my TV with its Chromecast that I have swapped out all of the landscapes for, with just 200 photos from my Pokemon Snap album. This is what I look at every day. I cycle through them, and it makes me so happy. I'm so happy right now.
Oh, that sounds peaceful.
Are all 200 of them Bidoof?
No,
Yes, please.
no.
Well, they should, but that's okay.
No, there's only 5, and they're identical in every single way. And before you can move on to the next picture, you have to look through all 5 of them,
All 5 Bidoof.
one at a time.
And I really, really, really enjoyed seeing Metroid Dread winning Best Action Adventure Game because
It deserved it.
it's such a good
Yeah,
fucking
it
game.
definitely did.
It deserved it, man. It deserved something. Like, Metroid Dread would have been in that same category where I would have been shocked if it didn't win something. I don't know about, like, we debated a little bit about Metroid Dread in Game of the Year, but I knew Metroid Dread was going to win something, because it was fantastic.
Like, I get that it's short. Like, you make the same case for Ratchet and Clank, and it doesn't have like a platinum trophy to go for. But like, people are speedrunning the game, and they're finding like cutscenes for like boss fights that people thought was unintentional. Like, they planned for sequence breaking, and like, this game is like a little playground for people. And so like, I think that's why like I just think it's so cool, is because they didn't try and rush this game. They really put a lot of thought into what are some of the silly things people are going to think of, and let's reward them for it. And I think that's really cool.
Right.
That's really what the Metroid scene has been asking for. So yeah.
Yeah, great for action adventure. I'm really happy Metroid Dread got into that. All right, a few of mine. Everyone knows I fucking love indie games. I have not played Kena Bridge of Spirits yet. It's on my to-do list. In fact, I'm probably going to download it later today. But I'm extremely happy because it not only won Best Indie Game, but Best Debut Indie Game, right? Where it's the best debut game created by an indie studio. And from what everybody has told me so far, from the reviews and everything, Peach has played it even. Kena Bridge of Spirits absolutely killed it. And from the start, from the very first time I saw that trailer, I knew they had something special there. Peaches?
We're good. I'm still recording. We're fine.
Okay. Did you hear what I said about Kena
yeah.
Bridge of Spirits?
That's
All
why
right,
he
so what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, on
He
Kena
was
Bridge
like-
of Spirits.
Yeah, you just reminded me this game's amazing and I need to play it right now.
Look, Kena Bridge of Spirits. It's a shorter game, and I don't know. I have my own problems with it, but as a whole, the game is really good. It's beautifully done. It's worth it. I mean, it's not $60, so that helps justify the length of the game and some of the worst aspects of it. But I do think that of the games on there, I'm glad that it won for Best Indie.
Absolutely. Games for Impact, Life is Strange True Colors, I felt like that was totally deserved. And the truth is, with Life is Strange, whenever it's in this category, it almost always wins. But like, as a Life is Strange fan, I've got plenty of gripes with the series. This is the only time, like, Life is Strange True Colors, like, was, especially relative to the other Life is Strange games, it was really, really good. I loved it. I thought it was executed so much better. Like, they're getting really, really good with the Life is Strange series. So, absolutely happy that True Colors won Games for Impact, because I think it really, really, really deserved it this time. Best Art Direction for Deathloop was interesting, but from what I know, deserved. Right? Like, does anybody have any gripes with Best Art Direction? Is something that I'm always really interested in seeing. I personally would have rather seen this go to Psychonauts 2, right, as Czar was kind of talking about, but what are you gonna do? Can't win it all.
I'm just glad that art direction didn't go to a realistic looking game this year.
Thank you.
It actually went to a creative looking game.
Thank you. Oh my god, I am so sick of the gray and brown.
Fair enough, yes.
Because what? It went to Ghosts of Tsushima last year, didn't it? Which is a beautiful game, but 10 years down the line, those graphics
Shut the
are
fuck
gonna
up right
look
now.
bad.
Shut the fuck up right now. You talk any shit
They
on
will.
that, I will get out.
Mark my word, 10 years.
I'm literally on my way to your house right now.
I'm seriously letting you know Ghost of Tsushima will still be beautiful in 10 years. There's no fucking way it won't be. Unless we're going full VR, like that game is on the eyes.
Oh, we're going into the fourth dimension by that point.
We might be. Who knows? We might be getting there soon. And really, I mean, the only other thing that I would have mentioned with kind of my surprise is, again, It Takes Two and everything surrounding this, the amazing story of how this game came to be and how it became Game of the Year. It's really hard, in my opinion, to say that it was better than some of the other options on these lists, but like, as gamers who are like really invested in the Game Awards, at the end of the day, if something wins that you weren't expecting, like, you just kind of sit back and you're like, you know what? This is what most gamers thought. This, like, just well done. Like, I have to appreciate this for what it is. And that's exactly how I feel about It Takes Two. So overall, you know, it was the Game Awards. The presentation, the pageantry, wasn't anything special by any means, in my opinion. But when it came down to it, the categories that I felt like were the most important, they did, like, present the awards in a nice manner. And at the end of the day, every game that won its respective award, I felt was very deserving of it. So, what do you guys think? Did we do a good job of talking about the Game Awards?
We haven't really talked about the Game Awards. We've barely mentioned the ads.
That's true.
Are you
I
sure?
mean, we've mentioned them in general, but we haven't got, like, what was your guys' favorite ad from the Game Awards? What ad were you most excited for?
Okay. That's a really great question, and let's do this. Who here is not Star Wars?
I mean, I'm really not sure if I'm excited for the Star Wars game because Quantic Dream.
I was bored the whole time.
Yeah, yep, true.
Yeah,
That's not surprising.
I haven't really had a lot of fun with any Star Wars game I've played in a long time.
Whoa,
Knights of the Old
have you-
Republic.
I've got
Knights of the Old Republic.
no.
In a long time.
I will die on
That's
this
a
hill.
long
Just
time.
play it again then.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the
that's
game.
fine.
The game holds up, all right. It holds up, but Jedi Fallen Order was also pretty good. Not as good as Knights of the Old Republic
I haven't played that one.
by any stretch, but it was really good.
All right, so I have 3. Alan Wake 2, 2023. That was a big announcement. That was really crazy. Wonder Woman is getting her own game. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
DC may not be great at making movies, but everything else they usually kill it.
And it's done
So-
by Monolith. You know,
Yeah.
people who created the Arkham series.
Yeah, exactly. And those games were really good. So I'm excited for Wonder Woman. And of course Elden Ring, right? Getting a little bit more about Elden Ring, the game that everybody is talking about for that February release. So yeah, I'm really excited for that too. The trailer was beautiful. It made the game look just even more amazing than I thought it already was. Those would be my 3. What about you guys?
I'm gonna
alright.
be real.
Not everybody at once.
I'm gonna be real with you. It was such a blur. Now, granted, I had also just
Yeah.
worked like maybe 15 hours leading up to the Game Awards. I was very tired, but like 3 hours of hype ads just kind of blurred together for me. So I'm gonna cheat and say that what I was most hyped about was Warhammer, not because I have any interest in it whatsoever, but because I actually know one of the senior writers on Warhammer, and
Oh, yeah.
Really?
her name is Ashley Cooper. She is fantastic. We've had her on our podcast a bunch. She told me that she was doing something with Saber Interactive for a while, but she didn't. She said she couldn't talk about it until the Game Awards. So now I know what it is, and I'm so happy for her. I'm so excited.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what Ashley was working on. I've heard her a few times on the show. That's amazing. Good for her.
I'm so happy for her.
All right, Peaches, what about you?
All right, so top 3, Among Us VR. All right, obviously.
It's a horror game.
Sauce.
Halo TV series,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that looks so
absolutely.
I forgot about
cool.
that.
and the greatly exaggerated death of Telltale coming back with the Expanse game.
My death was greatly exaggerated.
Wait, didn't they? Oh no, it was the Telltale developers. It wasn't Telltale. I'm thinking of the Star Trek game that got announced. It's made by the founders of Telltale, but it's not Telltale. It's a different company. They're doing like a Star Trek choose your own adventure game.
And that's interesting. I do like that idea. I am about that.
I'm intrigued.
What about you, Czar?
Well, I was really excited for that Warhammer game because I've been engrossed in the franchise in many aspects, from tabletop to video games, for a long time. Alan Wake 2 was probably the top on my list just because it's been over a decade and I absolutely was obsessed with the style of gameplay that Alan Wake 1 had. Those had to have been my biggest hype moments.
Interesting.
And the Halo show.
Actually, that's not surprising at all. I knew exactly what you were going to pick.
Yeah. I'm pretty
Because I was right there
transparent.
with you, and I saw where you were like, no fucking way!
Yeah.
I'm surprised there was no mention of the story trailer for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, but it's all right.
Well, you could have mentioned it.
Well, yeah, but then I would have to leave out Among Us VR.
Yeah, but let's be real. It's Borderlands, and the story is not why you play Borderlands.
It's usually not why you play Borderlands, but I might make an exception with this one because Tiny Tina is my favorite character in the Borderlands franchise. But on top of that, the whole point of mixing in the D&D narrative, I think, is probably to inspire this better narrative within the game that other Borderlands games haven't seen before. And frankly, I thought the story in Borderlands 3, besides the fact that I hated the villains, was not bad. Was pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they definitely stepped up their game.
I mean, there was the really dumb death at one point, but other than that,
I totally agree.
Yep.
I totally agree. But the point is, with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, you're right. That's something that does need to be discussed because yes, amazing. Can't wait to play it. All right. We have talked about a lot today. So before we wrap up, does anybody have anything else they need to get off their chest?
I want Nintendo
Flute guy
stuff.
for the win.
More Nintendo stuff. What did you yell, Czar?
Flute guy for the win.
Yep, that sounds about right. Peaches, Travis, any other thoughts?
No
well, Travis
thoughts.
is the guest. Go ahead.
No thoughts. Head empty.
Dumb bitch status achieved.
Yeah.
As we've talked about before, I mean, the Game Awards have perfectly smoothed out my brain. There's nothing left.
Oh, I've got the smoothest brain, brother. Your insults slide right off. All right, well, once again, Travis, we want to thank you not just for coming on the podcast today, but also thanks for joining us the other night while we were watching the Game Awards, man. Your insight, your comments, it made it that much more fun to watch. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I've never got to actually watch the Game Awards with anyone before, and it was so much fun. You guys are a blast.
Oh, it makes it so much better when you watch it with people.
Make sure to mark it in your calendar next year,
You're
Travis.
darn right.
Watch it again
Oh
with
yeah.
us.
Well, we should do like a massive viewing party. I've got some ideas. That might be fun.
Oh, make a drinking game.
Yeah.
Massive Mass Effect.
Hey.
Yeah, quite possibly. If it's a Mass Effect heavy showcase, I mean, Zach and I are just gonna watch the rest of you guys get sloshed,
Yeah.
or angry, or maybe both.
Let's be real, the new Mass Effect game isn't coming out for like at least 3 or 4 years because they're working on Dragon Age.
True.
You never know. They might hand Mass Effect off to the Montreal team again and have them do it.
Andromeda Part 2.
At
Oh,
the
dear
very
God.
least, I could jump in Andromeda.
That's fair.
What is it with you and the jumping?
Everything.
It's important.
All right. Are you good,
Oh my god.
Travis? Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I think it's funny that like jumping is so important because like even that character was trying to get away from that game. Like it was trying to jump away.
He's like, one of the programmers are like, I like how you finally programmed in jumping. And the other guy was like, I didn't make it so we could do that.
Help me.
I need out. I need out.
I kid. We can talk about this in another episode, but I actually didn't hate Andromeda as much as everyone else did. I thought it was flawed, but I really liked it.
Dude, you can't drop heat like that in a Mass Effect loving community and then be like, well, I guess we're ending it there. Yeah.
Well,
that's
then
gonna...
I guess you're just gonna need to bring me back for another episode, aren't you?
And the thing is, he's not wrong.
There you go. There you go.
Next time
You're-
on Game T
you're literally-
Podcast Z.
It's just sounds of screaming. It's all everybody just screaming at one another.
Zach, is your hair
All right.
blonde?
Well, that's gonna. Boo. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Game T Podcast. Once again, thank you so much to Travis for joining us. That'll do it. We will see you in the next episode.
You just got your Game T.
Bye.
Later.
You guys can all stop recording. And 3.
Well, Travis usually has something fun.
My eat is my power?
My eat is my power.
I can't ride that train forever.
If you like what you heard today and you're looking for more ways to get your Game T fix, check us out on Patreon. With bronze, silver, and gold tiers starting at $2 a month, there are several incredible rewards you can receive for supporting the show, such as a follow from us on Twitter, access to a monthly Q&A session, an invitation to our private Discord server, and even bonus episodes of the podcast only accessible to patrons. Your donations will be used to make the show even better. The link to Patreon is in the description with our social media, so go check it out. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the Game T Podcast.